first episode. So today we're going to talk about healing, man. What does healing look like for you? I'm going to tell you what it looked like for me, but something I talk about a lot with healing. Oh, and what's up, everybody? My name is Angel. I am the owner of Soul Rise Healing. So today we're going to talk about healing and what it looks like. We're going to just bust this wide open today, the first episode, and see. Because sometimes healing looks different from different people. Oh, I didn't realize my cheek was red. Oh, well. It looks different for different people, different places, different times. But how are you healing? So, a lot of people that I mentor, when we get into the healing aspects, like I have people that aren't able to journal, right? Because they have bad memories from that. Some people can't use the water method. And let's break down each type of healing. So when we think about journaling, what does journaling do? Journaling is a natural way for us to communicate with our higher self. It's a way that if we can do a meditation and sit down and begin to write and allow the pen to just write for us, it will show what we need to release. It will show what's ready to let go. It will also show you it will also show you what your next plan is. Journaling is beneficial in a lot of ways, especially when it comes to downloads. When we start getting downloads, sometimes they don't come in fully. Like when I opened back up my channel and my downloads came in, I had so many that they were coming in broken pieces. Excuse me. Like I would get a piece here and a piece there and a piece there. So journaling was beneficial because I had to journal some down, and I had to go back and journal this. And then eventually I was able to go back through those journals and find the pieces. And that was healing for me because at first when they were coming through, I was so confused. I was like, what is this? Why is this coming through like this? And it kind of put me more in like a psychosis because they didn't make sense to me. But so that journaling is something. Journaling helps us to organize our thoughts. I like to call it brain dumping. We dump our thoughts on this journal, right? And then we can go back and read it and reorganize it and see, okay, wait a minute, this didn't make sense. I don't want to hold on to this. I want to let this go. But it starts to give us different aspects. Even when you look at journaling for dream journaling, even people are like, I don't dream. Well, you can trigger dreams through journaling. So if you wait, because your soul is always traveling. So if you wake up in the morning, don't even think, pick up a notebook and begin to write. Just ask yourself, what did I do last night? And start to journal. Then you'll start to remember your dreams. Sometimes it's as simple as that. But I know some people it's like, I can't journal. I have a bad experience with journal. Journaling is not good. I don't feel comfortable. What if someone finds my journal? What if someone gets my journal? What if my journal gets read and all my personal experiences? So I like to do another method when I journal. When I journal, if I'm writing to release, I burn. I use calcination. Why do I use calcination? Because when you burn that journal, you're burning those old memories away. You're burning that energy out of your root chakra. You're burning those old emotions. You're releasing. The fire naturally burns, cleanses, and purifies our energy. So when we burn energy, when we burn it, we're releasing it. You don't have to think about it anymore. When I used to want to quit doing something, so here's a prime example. I used to smoke cigarettes. In order for me to quit smoking cigarettes, I actually used fire to do it. I brought a pack of cigarettes and I went outside and I burned a whole pack of cigarettes in a fire. Never touched a cigarette since. That was a way of burning that, releasing, showing my body, because we're made up of all the elements. That fire, my soul was like, oh, we're ready to quit smoking. Boom! I ain't smoked a cigarette since. My journals, when I started journaling to do my healing, I burned that journal. When I finally was ready to release that 333, I took that journal out and I burned it. And those emotions, I could feel them being released out of my energy field. I could feel my energy field repairing itself. But let's move on. If you don't like journaling, then you can always do the water method. What is the water method? Water is another way of purifying and cleansing our body. Water helps flush the body. So you have 2 cups, and make sure you label them. And it doesn't matter what kind of cups. You can, preferably if you have them, crystal cups. But if you don't, it don't matter what kind of cups you have. It's all about the intention. So you'll write on one cup, release, and you'll write on the other cups, bring in. So whatever these emotions is, whatever you want to let go of, you want to speak it into this water, because water hears, water reacts, water reacts. So if you want to release some old trauma, you speak it into that water. I'm going to release blah, 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 blah. But then you take that water and you throw it out in the ground and you give it to Mother Earth and you ask her to replace it with what it is that you want to be feeling on the inside. So once you release that, then you take the water, that's the good water, and you speak those affirmations into it. I'm calling back in my self-worth. I'm calling back in my self-power, my whatever it is, and then you drink that cup. But you keep them cups separated, because the cup with the bad, you don't want to drink out of it. You want to keep it somewhere. And the cup that's for your affirmations, that's what you want to use to drink that water once you speak those affirmations into that water. But water is natural. Our body is made up of mainly water. This planet is water. Water is everywhere. It is foundational. So using water to release is another way of healing. Another way of healing, people don't think about this, by going to the gym, working out, exercising, taking walks in nature, just being outside is healing. Because sometimes when we're outside, if we don't want to do the water, we don't want to journal, we could be outside with our thoughts and giving it to earth at the same time, because trees here, the plants here, the earth here, it all acknowledges you. But the question is, do you want to take the time to be out there and do that? And then some people say, I don't want to go outside because it's cold. I don't want to go outside because it's too hot. But it's a mental thing. If you can get over what it feels like and understand that this is part of your healing, this is another form of healing. Working out, going to the gym. It's something about working out because it frees your mind. It allows your mind to rest. It allows your emotions to settle. It allows everything to come to the surface and be released, because when you go to the gym, you sweat. Sweat is part of water. By sweating, you're releasing that. So, healing looks different for everybody. And it's not an easy journey. We often want to take this race of healing, like, I got to heal. I got to be done with it now. But it's not a race. It's a journey. Everything you release is a new part of you that's coming in. So in between healing, when we do our healing, we need to have our integration. When we start integrating, we need to understand our growth. That's when our gifts really start to come online, when we release. When we release the things that don't serve us, then we start to really grow. But as long as we're holding on to these things that are not in alignment with us, we become stagnant. It puts us in like what am I supposed to do? How do I use this? How do I go here? What do I do that? Healing is just fundamental. And this is why I always tell people, get a mentor, because a mentor can be that container for you. What they do is they hold that container for you and you pick in there. Okay, I want to work through this today. And then they give you the tools, not tools that are beneficial for you. Because when we use the same tools over and over again, sometimes they don't work for you. So find you a mentor. That in my program, that's when people ask me, can you send me what your mentorship program look like? I can't send you something drawn out, because your healing journey might not look like the next client's healing journey. Your healing journey may not be the other person's healing journey. I have to talk with you to see what it looks like for you to do healing. Because if you don't like to journal, I'm not going to give you journal prompts, because that's going to be uncomfortable. That's going to send you farther in a spiral. We work together to figure out what it is, how we can do the healing for you. So that's what healing is all about. It's a process that takes time. It's a process that allows us to take this journey of rediscovery for ourselves. And when we start to rediscover ourselves, we start to really find out who we are at the core, who our soul is. When we really start to come out of this ego self and come into the healed self, we really start to grow and awaken and acknowledge who we are, and really start to feel into what we can do. And this is when the true power really starts, because this is when your light begins to shine. Here's the downside though. People around you that aren't healed, your light will disrupt their ego. I'm going to say that again. Your light will disrupt their ego. So they naturally, people try to pull you back into that egoic state. But have you awakened enough that you don't have to be pulled back in that state? Can you continue to push forward and continue to heal? And that's why I always say it's important to meet people where they're at on their journey. We don't have to go down to their journey. We just meet them where they're at on their journey. And what do you mean? If I see someone in ego, I'm not going to argue with them. I'm going to acknowledge them. Does not mean I'm agreeing. I'm acknowledging them, acknowledging their feelings, because their feelings are still valid. But I'm also not going to engage in a conversation that's not in alignment with me. I'm going to protect my peace. That's what I mean by meet people on their journey, but not drop down to their journey. But that's all a part of healing, because naturally when we start to heal, our ego also, I'm going to give you another way. Our ego will also show itself in a different way. When we start to heal in the spiritual journey, when we learn about the throat chakra, we think that we got to go tell everybody what it is, how it is, what they're doing, and why they're doing it wrong. But that's another form of ego. That is your ego speaking, because ego is like, oh, okay, I can't get you this way. Well, I'm going to try to come in this way. And that's when we have to be aware and start to balance the ego and balance our throat chakra, because our truth may not be someone else's truth. They may not see the same things we see, but it's their truth. And so we have to respect them on their journey. So, but we tend to want to try to help them. Helping people does not mean telling them. Helping people means dropping those little nuggets, but also respecting them where they're at on their journey. And just know that we all have a different journey we're taking. So, but healing is amazing. And that's just emotional healing. That's just healing your emotionals. And when we get into things like Reiki, right? Reiki is designed to help pull those emotions to the surface. Reiki is designed to help open up those chakras. Reiki is designed to help balance those chakras. And when you go see a Reiki practitioner and they start doing that, those emotions start to surface. How many of you turn around when those emotions start surfacing after you had a Reiki, you push them back down? And then you have to go get another Reiki session because now your back's hurting. Now Reiki helps to pull those emotions up as well. So when we have a Reiki session, it's always good to journal after. It's always good to drink plenty of water and allow the emotions to surface. It's another form of healing, another form of bringing these emotions to the surface. So this is my piece today on healing and understanding healing and what it looks like. Just know that everybody has their own healing journey. For me, it looked like a little bit of journaling. It looked like a little bit of talking. It looked like a little bit of screaming, a little bit of crying. Like, my healing journey was so impactful. When I decided to sit down and journal, it was huge. And that surfaced so much. I had to go back and go through the life and go through what I had thought I had suppressed. And I brought it from my unconscious mind to my conscious mind. But once I got through that healing, the reward was the inner peace that I had, the love that I had for myself again, just the contentment that I had for self. So my journey was a little bit of everything. It was a little bit of journaling, water, rituals, protection spells, cleansing my aura, cutting cords. You know, I don't have a lot of friends today, but it's not because I chose that. It's because I noticed that our vibrational patterns changed. And what I was talking about, they wasn't talking about. And it wasn't even spiritual stuff, but it was just being around me, and that vibration disrupted their ego. So we slowly have drifted apart. So understanding that you're not losing people. You're elevating, you're growing, you're raising your vibration. And sometimes those people start to fall off. Does not mean that they don't care or they're not there. It just means that your light is disrupting their ego. And, you know, sometimes we find it more comfortable to sit and argue with people's ego just for the sake of keeping the friendship or family member or whatever it is. But me personally, I found I'd rather protect my peace than to sit in a place that my peace is not protected. And so that was part of my healing, having to really do that. And I'm a person that had a lot of friends. I've traveled the world and been in the military. I have friends all over the world. My partner used to laugh. She says, not one state we can go to that you don't know someone. And that's true. Because everywhere I went, I knew someone. But now, because of where I'm at, it's almost like I don't even know who these, like, they're not even in my reality. And that's another thing too. Like, those situations that keep coming up over and over again, you're like, why does this keep happening? Well, it keeps happening because you haven't healed that trauma that you need to release. And what will happen is when that situation presented itself, instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Ask yourself, what do I need to learn from this? How do I heal from this? And see, don't you find a way to heal and that situation stop presenting itself? That's something else that we tend to do, right? When situations come up and we don't prefer, and we become the victim, or we become like, oh, they're out to get me. This is so wrong. But we never stop and say, what am I to learn from this? How can I prevent this situation from continuing to happen? What is this on my journey that I need to know? What do I need to learn? And learn what we need to learn from that situation. So that's all a part of growing and healing. And we never stop healing. We continue to heal. We continue to grow. But it's how you get through it and how you react to situations that allow you to see your growth. And what I mean, how do you react to situations? If I don't prefer something and it triggers emotions, I need to heal from it. If I don't prefer something and it does not trigger emotions, then I've healed from it and I've let it go. And I don't need to continue to think about that situation. So I hope this video helps you with a little bit of healing. I hope you got a little bit of clarity. Understand that meditating and grounding first is always important with every healing. Take time to meditate, take time to ground, take time to be with yourself. That is what's going to help you grow the most, because when we can sit with ourselves and understand that self-love is the love that radiates out, that's the love that continues to help us grow. Namaste. Until next time. Bye.